What's worse, when families argue over money or don't talk enough about it? A recent report from Fidelity Investment reveals major disconnects between parents and their adult children about important financial matters, such as who will care for aging parents and whether there will be enough money to live in retirement. Joining us today to talk about how to bridge the communication gap is Kathleen Murphy, President of Personal Investing at Fidelity. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining the Morning Blend this morning.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
And let's start with the survey. Why is there such a disconnect between our parents and their adult children, and why we don't discuss money?
So the survey shows that while parents and adult children agree they should have the conversation at some point, 75% agree with that, 64% disagree on when to have that conversation. Parents want to push it off pretty far into retirement, while these adult children, who've now become the sandwich generation, they're taking care of their own kids, trying to save for their own retirement, they want to be there for their parents. They're saying to their parents, look, we should have this conversation before you actually retire to make sure that you've got the money that you need and the situation to live the retirement of your dreams. So the disconnect is on when to have the conversation and how to have the conversation.
So is there a sweet spot in terms of age that we should be having the conversation with our parents? And if our parents don't bring it up, is it our job as adult children to start that conversation?
Yes. So first of all, in terms of when to have the conversation, ideally it is before they officially retire. You want to have a conversation as a sounding board as the adult child in terms of, what are the priorities for retirement? Do they want to downsize their home? Where do they want to live? That quickly leads to, are you ready for retirement? Most parents are going to live now to be 95, 100 years old. Do they have enough money to last in retirement, to pay for health care costs, which keep going up, to live the retirement of their dreams? The other thing that's really important, and children should really raise this issue proactively with their parents, because there's so many very sad stories when it doesn't get raised, and that is, do the parents have a power of attorney in case something happens to them, whether they can make their own financial decisions or not? Do they have a health care proxy? Can one of the children be a health care proxy for them if they have health care issues and can no longer make those decisions on their own? Do they have a will? It's really sad when half of the parents' inheritance goes to the government because they didn't take the time to go to an attorney and establish a will. So the children and the parents don't have to have a detailed conversation about the finances in particular, but they should have a conversation about whether the right steps are being taken so that the adult children can fulfill the wishes of the parents.
Now, many of us come from a generation where salaries and financials are just not ever discussed. Like, I've lived my entire life never knowing how much money my parents have ever made or what they have in the bank. So how do adult children begin to have that conversation when they've grown up, as parents have said, that's our private business, our children shouldn't know about our financial situation?
And you certainly want to respect that point of view. I think everyone can relate to that. What you want to do, though, is say to your parents, so many of our friends and families have gone through something like this when bad things have happened, when the children haven't had the conversation with the parents. The children should not assume that they should impose their will on the parents. The parents should have the vote. Children should have a voice and help them along. I think one of the other things that we really suggest strongly is that parents and children have the conversation about the roles and responsibilities of the children, particularly when there's more than multiple children. Who should be responsible for helping on health care issues? Who's more financially savvy and can help on paying the bills or making investment decisions? And I'd also say you want to make sure that the parents feel comfortable having a collaborative conversation with the children about things like where that paperwork is, if an emergency comes up, how the children can act quickly to help both parents through those tough situations.
And we all know that this situation in particular, especially when there are other siblings involved, can get very ugly very quickly, because we've all grown up in a world of entitlement. And when you have to share things with your sisters or your brothers, and we've all got type A personalities, how do you kind of sort out how to keep it very peaceful and just, really let the parents still remain in control, but still also have control?
Yeah, so it's a great point. I'm one of 6 kids myself, so I totally relate to that. What you want to do is make sure that the parents are clear in advance about what they would like each of the children to do for them. Write it down if possible. So the will takes care of itself, but that's after the fact, after somebody has, unfortunately has passed away. But what about if the parents fall ill? What about if there is, unfortunately, dementia or Alzheimer's? So being clear up front about the specific roles and responsibilities they want each children, and ideally communicating that to all the children, will help a long way in avoiding fights on the back end.
Well, Kathleen, thank you so much for your time this morning. And if people are interested in more information, where can they go?
Go to Fidelity.com. Because this is such an important issue to so many people, we've put a wealth of information on our website, both in terms of how parents and adult children think about this issue and those all-important tips for getting the conversation started.
Thanks so much again.
Thank you.
And don't go anywhere. The Morning Blend will be back before you know it.